All right, let's get into G20.
This was, look, to give my preliminary evaluation, there is one remarkable thing about this movie, because otherwise I do not think it could legally be categorized as entertainment. I don't think they're allowed to import it into the EU for the same reason they won't import.
You couldn't feed it to cows.
You couldn't even show this to cows that are about to be killed. But one of the least exciting, lowest stakes, worst things I've ever seen. But it is sort of an outstanding accomplishment because it is a movie where Anthony Starr plays a huge role, and I did not even care.
Yep.
It was an Anthony Starr thing where I was not engaged and not even enjoying a second of it, except for a few. And that's the first time that's ever happened. Because even like the shittiest episodes of The Boys in the last season, where they're like, oh, the new bad guy is named Kafifi, and he shoots alternative facts out of his asshole. Like, even then, Starr is just such a delight in every scene. It doesn't, I'll still watch that crap. But with this, it was so harrowingly just dull that even if it was twice as many Anthony Starr scenes, and there was Dakota Johnson was in it, and there was just an unrelated storyline where she's fucking a character based on me, and who has my name, I would still be like, I'll never watch this again. I won't even remember this. And on its face, the concept, right? That Anthony Starr kills Black Doug Emhoff and Kamala, or tries to kill Kamala, or doesn't kill them, spoiler alert. But, terrorizes everyone who has overseen the destruction of Gaza. I would be like, sign me up. But that's not what this is.
No.
Unfortunately. It's not what it is.
I feel like this fucking movie made Zero Day look lively and engaging by comparison. Like, this is... Because, we've done, I feel like we've done so many of these sort of like politically tinged action movies. Like, I remember we did London Has Fallen, which is like a very similar concept to this. But like, London Has Fallen, like, was extremely violent and did portray every world leader being killed, which is awesome. And it's got Gerald Butler, and like, it has like a sleazy, evil appeal to it. Whereas this movie is just, there's nothing. There's nothing going on here.
What my favorite thread running throughout the movie, we were watching it in a group. We were trying so hard to figure out, is crypto good or bad?
Yeah, Felix, can you answer
in
that
the
question?
Universe of this movie? Because what I landed on was the only thing that can stop a bad guy with bad crypto is a good guy with good crypto. Because Viola Davis is kind of like Kamala, Michelle Obama hybrid American president. At the beginning, is trying to be like, we're going to give African farmers crypto to help them farm better.
Basically, her plan is to give microloans to African farmers in the form of crypto. And then like that causes like traders within her administration to be like, you've chosen African farmers over American crypto farmers. You bitch, that's why we're going to kill you.
Yeah. I mean, like when I saw that was a key plot line, I went, I think I know where the last of Sam Bankman-Fried's money went.
Katherine, you said that she's like Viola Davis is Italy. She plays President Sutton. She's a president of the United States, and like sort of a diehard style situation develops at a G20 conference in South Africa. But Katherine, you described her as like a thinly veiled cross between Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama.
Only because she's got the arms of Michelle Obama.
Viola Davis is jacked.
Yeah, she's jacked.
But I would add one more figure. President Sutton, portrayed by Viola Davis in this movie, is a hybrid of Kamala Harris, Michelle Obama, and former Virginia Senator Jim Webb.
yeah.
Because early in the movie, it reveals that she took part in the Battle of Fallujah and became president because someone snapped a photo of her like carrying a kid out of a burning, blown up house.
Who blew up the building, by the way?
Well, yeah, at least Anthony Starr brings that up at one point in the movie.
Yeah, he was kind of cooking there.
Anthony Starr, like every point he made was good.
Yeah, but like he was also collecting crypto. It was like
is there a better way for him to buy Molly online? Shit.
Well, yeah, it's so while he's trying to.
At the end, when they're like, our crypto wallet has $150 billion, like think of all the MDMA we can buy with that.
We're going to give ourselves the worst serotonin syndrome ever.
Well, Felix, like,
we're going to do this every day.
Felix, like, as far as like, we have comprehensively lost the ability to make action movies in this country, and it is a calamity because the essential, like, the villains, like, their plan in this movie, like, at no point in the movie, like, did it ever make sense, or did they ever try to make it make sense? Like, as best I can describe it, they hold the leaders of the G20 hostage
in a big banquet room
and make them say the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog 10 times so that their AI can make deepfakes of them that broadcast on the news about being like, I can't wait to steal all the money from the world. And then they're saying, like, apparently, so they'll make deepfakes of world leaders schmoozing at the G20 talking about how evil they are. And that will crash all global currencies, which will in turn cause Bitcoin to rise and for them to make money off a like, you know, sort of
decentralized new world economy, I think.
Yeah. I think I'm getting it right, but
yeah, that was it, which it raises a lot of questions. Okay, so they need the world leaders to say these syllables into the camera so they can manipulate it with deepfake, which is like,
don't they already have plentiful footage of these world leaders speaking?
Are there no other videos of them talking?
Making all these sounds?
I think if you could, for like the 2022 or whenever the last like G20 with Biden was, you could make a deepfake where they're all like, time to go to Molestathon 2023, you know? And you could tell people about, like, the average American voter even. The average Pennsylvanian, you'd be like, did you see the G20 video? And they'd be like, what's that? Who's gonna make my TV brighter? I don't know how to change the brightness setting.
The shower filters. And Viola Davis says it at some point that, like, they're not gonna believe this, and it's like, who cares? Or like, even if they do, it's like, it doesn't matter.
I mean, Will brings up a very good point about how this is one of the crucially worst parts about modern action movies, how shitty the plots of the villains are, and this is obviously a great example of it. I mean, Hans Gruber is probably like one of the platonic ideal of an action movie villain, and it's not that his plot is so geniusly intricate that no one could have thought of it, but you hear it and you're like, oh, that's pretty clever, and it makes him a more interesting villain, and it raises the stakes. When the villain is just like, what's your motivation? I'm pissed off at how great black women are. Okay. What's your plot? I'm gonna like make everyone sad so my crypto gets more expensive. Okay, what?
And like,
why?
Like, and like the plot is to reveal to the world through deepfakes that the leaders of the G20 nations and like all the rich countries in the world are in fact exploiting all the poorer countries of the world for their own benefit. And it's like, that could just be a news article about the G20.
Yeah.
I know, like, when they say, like Katherine, when they're like, no one will believe it. It's like, people already know this about the G20.
Remember when they told people aliens were real and no one gave a shit?
Yeah. But Felix, the other unbelievable motivation of Anthony Starr's character is that he is an Australian Special Forces mercenary who is mad about being betrayed by being sent to the Iraq War. Now, Chris just looked this up before we started recording. Of the 2,000 Australian soldiers sent to fight in Operation Enduring Freedom, 0 of them died.
Well, I mean,
so I mean, like, okay, like, for purposes of the movie, he's like, I saw 2 of my best mates get blown up in Fallujah thanks to your war for gasoline.
Save it. I'm just here for the gasoline.
And okay, fine, fair enough. But like the leap of faith that I just cannot make with this movie is that anyone involved in the Australian military could pull off an operation like this.
Yeah.
They're fighting kangaroos and emus and losing badly to like non-indigenous species. That's what the Australian military was they haven't fought a real war ever.
The Australian military got decimated by someone bringing
World War
a domestic...
Maybe. Sorry to the martyrs of Gallipoli.
Someone bringing a domestic cat to the island nation.
They got washed by Garfield.
They are... Also, they're better at being in the military than me. I'm not in the military, so I won't criticize. But it's not like Canada, where like everyone thinks they're pussies, but they actually they have an amazing KDR in war. Canadians, due to their simple minds and greater than average vision and the way that the heads of the Anglo-Canadians are shaped allows for greater aerodynamicity and greater air intake. They're amazing snipers, map crews, and they've killed tons of people.
Hey, Utah Beach and Normandy landing. That was all.
They were awesome. Look, I played that Call of Duty.
Juno and Utah Beach is. Oh.
It was great. Australians, some of them fought in Vietnam, which I always think.
Why? Once again,
that is
be mad at your own leaders.
Talk about what a Tom Sawyer trick. But Tom Sawyer's also painting the fence with you. I always felt so bad for that. Like Jesus
Born
Christ.
to paint.
Yeah.
There were Canadian troops in Vietnam with Mac the SOG. I don't know how that's pronounced. I've only read it in books. The Special Operations, Reconnaissance, and Observation Studies Group. The sort of precursor to a lot of modern special forces. There were like a lot of Commonwealth people in that, particularly Canadians. But with a Canadian in that, it's like, well, okay, same idea, right? We're, same continent, whatever. But an Australian? Oh my God, what if you lost your leg and got addicted to heroin fighting in Vietnam as a fucking Australian? I would do a lot more than steal the president's crypto, I'll tell you that.
Felix, another thing I love about, or rather was sort of like sad to see in this movie with Anthony Starr, is that like, he just had the Homelander hair.
Well, it was a little grown out.
I mean, like, it was, he just like...
Imagine what Amazon contract he had to sign that like got him conscripted, like a member of the Australian Special Forces fighting in Fallujah into making this movie.
Yeah. I mean, that was the only thing that like kind of made me happy was that you could tell he just wandered off the set of the boys.
Yeah. And also he's using close to his real Kiwi accent for the first time ever, which was, I guess, a little treat for the Anthony AS heads out there.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's, in my mind, I like to imagine him happy at all times. I think he deserves it for being such a great actor. So I like to imagine he was like, okay, I'll just do Homelander, but in my regular accent. And not even change how I look. And this will take like 3 days. And I'll be able to... What's a tasteful car he would buy? I don't think he would buy a
Volkswagen?
Bugatti. No, an expensive one.
Okay. Be an Audi?
Yeah. So like an Audi R8, like one of the super
Do Australians make cars?
No.
What do you think?
They have kangaroos. They have animals. Yeah.
But that's how I imagined it went for him. I don't like the idea of Jeff Bezos sticking a gun to his head. And you have to do this, Anthony.
I do have to point out
I think Anthony would kick his ass.
I do too. I do have to point out, though, that this wasn't like a total Australian Special Forces. It seemed to be kind of a coalition. Like, they also had a guy who was like from the Secret Service or the FBI who betrayed his nation.
And then there was a bunch of just regular white South Africans.
Yeah. None of them did the Elon accent as much as I would have wanted, though.
Well, okay, so the movie takes place in South Africa. Like, that's where the G20 is being held in Cape Town. This huge, gorgeous hotel rendered in 2002 era computer graphics. That's another thing. Everything in this movie looked horrible.
Awful.
And like, okay, so like the sets for the hotel that they're supposed to be staying at, which is the most glamorous hotel in South Africa, looked like a Marriott in like mid-sized American city.
It looked like a JW Marriott. The JW Marriott I stayed in Sao Paulo. Trust me on this.
But I love like the South African setting because, like I said, we watched this movie last night in the group, and I got to give a shout out to our boy Jake, who said like a better movie would have been immediately be like, so Viola Davis is going to South Africa for the G20, but instead of her Together plan, she's going to South Africa to do white genocide to all the Afrikaner farmers.
That would be incredible.
And like the end of the movie, they're like, Mrs. President, Ms. President,
Madam President,
Madam President, Madam President, your Better Together plan has passed. Then all the leaders of the G20 are on your side. And then the end of the movie is like, just like lines of white Afrikaners being like sent at gunpoint to an airport, being whipped.
There was like an Afrikaner like Boer YouTuber. Me and my friends from my original Counter-Strike group from when I was like in middle school and high school used to watch to like make fun of him. He was one of the first political YouTubers. This guy named Reindeer that we thought was so funny. Because he was like this jacked like man, like a power manlet, like 5'6" jack South Africaner who was like in his early 20s, and he would just sit in his bedroom going, "They renamed the Cricket Sport Airport after O.R. Tambo. Who the fuck is O.R. Tambo?" And that always made us laugh. We would yell at it at each other in Operation Flashpoint games. Who the fuck is O.R. Tambo? He was so mad. And they should get killed at O.R. Tambo Airport because that's a big insult to them. And they should do the same thing they do in the original ending, which is they play one of those like shitty women's rock songs. You know, those songs that are like, "I'm unbelievable. I'm wonderful. I'm a superstar." There was like shitty auto-tuned like songs that they'd played at every DNC since 2016.
Yeah.
It's at the end of this movie.
Off-brand Fight Club. I almost said Fight Club.
Yeah.
Fight song.
I'm a champion. I'm wonderful. One of those songs. And
this boar is on fire. as they put a fucking tire around him.
Yeah, they're playing that song while they're kicking farmers into like a wheat thresher. We do not endorse this idea. We think all farmers of all races should be killed. But
I'm so sick of farmers. I'm so fucking sick of farmers.
Yeah, can you guys fucking can it? Jesus. Get it. But that would have been a more creative end to the movie.
Really missed out on the opportunity to kill more leaders, but there were things for the ladies in this movie, including a lot of like hack dialogue. Sutton, when she's President Sutton, when she's getting dressed for the G20 ball or whatever, refuses to wear high heels. She's calling them torture devices. Ladies in the audience, we know what that's like. And then she wears tennis shoes. I guess that's a Midwest thing to say. She wears sneakers.
Come on, we're Midwest friendly.
Yeah,
show, Katherine. You can be yourself.
She wears sneakers, which, that and her combat training allows her to be an operator in this movie and kill 60 guys. But at the end of the movie, what I love the most is, and obviously she's wearing a gown, but she rips off the bottom of the gown for better maneuvering.
Puts on some tactical cargo pants.
Yeah. And then the dress and the tennis shoes are framed at the end of the movie. Which I loved. Oh, we got to talk about the Hillary Clinton style character.
Yeah,
the real betrayal. The woman who becomes her Treasury
Treasury.
Yes, Treasury Secretary. Who it's clear that they were like friends and they ran against each other in the primary. And the white lady called her a warmonger, which still burns Viola Davis's hash browns. But it becomes clear later in the movie that the white Hillary Clinton lady was the inside man.
Yeah, she arranged for Anthony Starr's. Well, here's another thing about this movie. Another plot detail of this movie that makes zero sense is that the Secret Service and the United States government would contract out security for their own world leaders. Where they're like, yeah, we've never worked with these guys before. Are they cool? And they're like, yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah, to back up the Secret Service.
Yeah, to back up the Secret Service when they already because one of the Secret Service agents is a traitor. So the whole the South African Australian security contractors providing security for the G20 would be, I would think, somewhat superfluous.
It reminds me of in Spartan where they're like, oh, the daughter got kidnapped because there's only 3 Secret Service agents for the entire family, and the dad used the only 3 to cover up his affairs.
Yeah.
Got human I mean, going back to the Hillary character where it's she's supposed to be Hillary Clinton but calls Viola Davis a warmonger. This is a recurring problem, not just with this movie, but with this sort of type of political slop. With 0 Day, same problem. Where the writers of the movie are these aggrieved institutionalist libs who roll all their resentments into a single character.
Right.
So every bad guy is Tucker Carlson and Bernie and Ron Paul and then Bob Avakian, I guess. They're we need to take down the system and replace it with business and kill the capitalists. And it's what the fuck is this?
I would like to talk about Anthony Anderson as the Doug Emhoff character.
Wow.
Katherine,
my joke during the movie was, and one of the funniest parts of the movie is she thinks he's going to be killed, and she just gives that up really quickly.
Yeah.
She's saying goodbye on the phone to him, and she's like already having the third gentleman like sworn in on Air Force One. But like
White dog is like, finally, it's my turn.
But then he doesn't die.
Yeah, she's like, just know that I'll always love you.
Tell the kids I love them.
And then there should have been a scene where she thinks her husband is dead, and she talks to her 2 kids, and she's like, "Don't worry, when we get back to America, we'll go to the Doug shelter, and we'll see if there's a nice Doug that needs a home."
Yeah, I mean, like this movie has such little guts that they spoiler alert, they shoot Black Doug. But even when that happens, it's like he is in less danger than anyone who has been in any movie ever.
Yeah.
There was no suspense. I knew they weren't going to kill Anthony Anderson Doug. I knew they weren't going to kill Anthony Starr. Those two are very similar. Is such a pussy in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like an insult to his ability to play like compelling evil pricks.
Yeah, he was really good on The Shield. He was like really frightening on The Shield.
Well, he lost all the weight and he lost his acting chops.
Anthony Starr, but Anthony Anderson was amazing on The Shield. Those scenes with Shane Vendrell.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Fucking incredible. Like awesome. I think Anthony Anderson is another great actor.
So is Viola Davis, but man, oh man, like nothing is working in this movie.
Yeah. But Anthony Starr is such a pussy in this movie, like his character. And it's like, okay, so he's supposed to be like this crazy, like JSOC throat slitter, but he hesitates when he has a gun to a child's head. Yeah, I believe that.
Felix, he did have one of those cool sort of like scythe knives,
like
that
a
they use in the raid
Velociraptor.
too. The karambit, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I like Velociraptor claw better. That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
karambits are very cool. They're like a Southeast Asian knife, and there's entire like art to fighting with them. And if you pay $1,600, you can get one with a cool pattern in the game.
He picked up that weapon when he was fighting for Australia in the Indonesian genocide.
Yeah. They were like, we're sorry your mate died in Operation Iraqi Freedom. We're letting you open a case that's going to guarantee at least one knife. The market value on the Steam market, 1,600 smackaroos. Not Australian, American.
Unfortunately, he doesn't get to swear in anew. The third gentleman.
Yeah, he's waiting in the wings.
And there's like such half-ass shit where like the number of times they say in this movie the RFID card. Because
oh my God, it was like, which is not that complicated of technology at all, and they just keep talking about RFID.
Like the president's daughter is like a hacker, and in the beginning of the movie she like hacks her RFID card to like go out to a bar drinking.
I hate how in every movie now when they have a character that's like under 20, they're like a genius with computers. It's like, I'm sorry, I have worked with like born after 9/11s in a professional capacity.
Born after 9/11s.
They're born after 9/11s who have played Counter-Strike with.
They can't even use Google Docs.
They're not good at technology. And it's not their fault because like by the time they started using computers, like Windows like totally shitified itself and was like, we should try to be like Apple, but like not fix any of the problems and make them worse, but make it so dumbed down that you can't alter anything. But they don't, like, they can't convert anything to a PDF. Like all the jokes that people make about
there's
boomers,
only one generation that can.
Yeah.
Luckily it's ours. Yeah.
Millennials are the geniuses of computer. The two greatest generations, I mean, Gen X is pretty good because they invented computer. Modern computer.
Yeah.
Gen X you have to give it to them. They were the first ponytail, no, I will not fix your computer t-shirt guys.
Yes.
When computer guys were good and helped the world. Millennials, we know how to tinker with Winamp. I've done some Linux bullshit with my Steam Deck, but a Zoomer, a Gen Alpha, no fucking way, pal. She would be like, I've hacked my RFID chip so I can go to the Declan McCoy or whoever the fuck that Mormon singer's name is.
Benson Boone.
I cannot remember that guy's name.
I mean, I'm honestly annoyed that I do know his name. Thank God I don't know what his music is. Like, thank God there is no like song in my head now when I say that name.
I'm gonna put it in there.
You better not. You better not.
Well, and like the whole thing with the daughter is to set up like a whole conflict about like, oh, she's a great president, but like, is she a good mom? And like, all the stress. And of course, it turns out she is a good mom. But again, that's not really true to life with Kamala because Kamala was a stepmom, and it's not the same. It's not the same thing.
Kamala's kids were like
they were 20.
27 and 30 when she got married.
Yeah.
Like, can we stop with it? It always annoys me so much where they're like, don't you love the vice president's family that's a totally regular family and not just like a prefab thing that WME got her? Like, can we stop? We used to acknowledge sham marriages in this country.
Yeah.
Another character I want to discuss is the British Prime Minister character, which is like a totally blown opportunity when because like they established early on that like he's kind of a dick to President Sutton, probably due to racism, because he's like he's very rude to her at the G20 where he's like, Madam President, I'd simply love to support your white genocide proposal.
Nobody loves a bulldozer. Nobody likes a bulldozer.
Yeah, he says nobody likes a bulldozer.
You can't just call a black woman a bulldozer.
He was like, obviously everyone here would love to round up all the whites in South Africa and kill them all and take their land. But if you get even one country to sign on, and it's like, I mean, he's just very like contemptuous of her, and it's just like, I don't think, regardless of the politics, any British prime minister would speak that way to any American president.
No, like, yeah, that is... Love Actually has a much better understanding of this type of relationship.
Yeah.
They're like our most subservient special ally. I'm supposed to believe that like if Kamala won, Keir Starmer would be like, Madam, I've dealt with your so-called loud sisters. Like, no, he would be like, I will foster Doug for you if you want. Yeah, no, like every British prime minister since like Tony Blair onwards has disgraced
it's just an absolute obsequiousness, just a total submission.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes for just sundry observations. Oh, I also liked at the end, and again, like the last conflict takes place on a helicopter. Anthony Starr just falls over the edge. Doesn't matter.
See him die.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Who cares?
But what I really liked, Felix, did you notice that someone was live streaming it at the end? Like the American troops like storm the kind of like helipad to like pull up the falling airplane that her and her daughter are on. And then it cuts to like someone's live streaming it.
It's Hassan.
Yeah, Hassan is there.
Hassan's at the G20.
He's got his backpack rig on.
Yeah. I mean, that is another obligatory thing in all these movies that someone is always like, they're like, I know, I'll go on Twitch to get the military's attention.
Yeah.
The false suspension in this movie, by the way, is like, they're like, well, why can't we just send like Delta Force to like kill everyone there? And they're like, you don't get it. It's on South African soil. We can't break international law. And it's like, oh, yeah, this movie that's coming out in 2025, the United States could never break international law in a military matter.
Yeah.
Have you been in a coma since 1914?
1948.
Yeah. Like, the other thing with the end scene, Kath, that I noted was when they revealed that the Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Ron Paul lady is the traitor. One of the reasons that Viola Davis clocks her is she goes, you're working with him. You even hid his wallet. And I was like,
well, no, it's
a crypto wallet.
It's the Bitcoin wallet.
It's Bitcoin. Okay. Going back to Hans Gruber, his crypto wallet, and like the crypto wallet is like, I don't know, some sort of like metal like
but
sort
they
of
do
like
refer
iPhone,
to it as a wallet.
but it has like a display that's just like some line go
numbers.
up, global currency crashes, Bitcoin goes up, and he's like, it just says $150 billion, and he's like, oh mate, I can't leave without me wallet. But okay, going back to like the and in the beginning, there's some totally convoluted thing where he kills some woman in Budapest
and
to get her
wallet
to steal her crypto wallet, and it was just like so fucking opaque to me, like what any of this meant or mattered to like his.
Also, don't you need like a long like string of numbers and letters to even open a wallet?
I don't fucking know
I don't care.
or care. And we were watching this. Chris made like back to Hans Gruber. Chris made the very good point about the state of action movie. We've got to bring back bearer bonds.
He'd had it right.
Because I know what bearer bonds are. It's like, it's like money, but a little bit different. Anyone bearing the bond can claim the value of it.
Yeah, if we're not going to use physical cash.
But it says like the crypto wallet and crashing currency, and then like why you even need a crypto wallet. I'm just like, I don't understand this.
Very
I don't
funny
care.
line. The dollar is not failing from this movie.
Oh yeah, that was
that's aging well.
Yeah, I mean, like the crypto stuff, you could make it interesting. I mean, like the long string of there, you can put like a password on a crypto wallet, like you can with like just about anything, and a lot of people will use like really complicated ones, and there's all types of like encryption bullshit, but you can just make your password like I love 2, 3, my 4. Birthday. Yeah. It just, there is a way to like make crypto interesting, but they never, in any movie like this, they never go past like a 2012 understanding of crypto, because every time they do some crypto shit, like whoever is representing the US government or any government is like, oh no, not crypto, the thing we can't trace. And it's like, who do you think probably invented Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. The US government is like one of the biggest holders of like errant Bitcoins out there. Like,
no, yeah,
fuck.
like at one point Anthony Starr is like, he's addressing the world after he's taken the G20 hostage, and he's like, they control you through currency, and they don't like crypto because it's the only currency they can't control. And it just, once again, I'm watching this movie in 2025 when like Donald Trump is like creating the National Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That, by the way, as we talked about with Joe Weisenthal, among others, crypto now is pegged entirely to the stock market. Like stock market goes up, so does crypto. Goes down, so does crypto. Doesn't really seem like a
totally decentralized
currency that's like, not subject to the dollar.
Yeah.
There's a great piece of screenwriting in this movie, though. There's like a scene with the vice president where they're like aware of the deep fake plan, and at one point the vice president says to the cabinet back in America, he goes, "In a world where misinformation is now information, this could be very powerful."
This could be very powerful.
Misinformation. No, the point of misinformation is that most people think it's information. Like, was there a time when it was like, time to go to my favorite misinformation sites? I just go there to know what it is, to keep myself sharp.
Love my propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it reminds me of when we were talking about the Academy. Like, just the thudding literalness of these types of works, where, like, you have a character who's an alcoholic. Well, you know why I'm an alcoholic? Because of your dad. Like an alcoholic would ever say, I'm an alcoholic and I hate it. With this, it's like the propagators of disinformation in this or Zero Day or any other of this shit are like, time to put out my favorite thing, lies. Like, that's how anyone operates.
It's time for the clues.
There's just one more element to this movie that I was hoping, Felix, you could like fill in the gaps for me, because like I thought maybe I went to the bathroom during some point where this was explained. But there's like,
I sincerely doubt
the
that's
two
what's
South
going
African
on.
hotel employees who turn out to be like special forces operators, like Zulu warriors.
Oh yeah, they
like
make
South
a
African
Wakanda
special forces, and they save the president's kids, and like the kid's like, "Damn, you're from Wakanda," and like, at what point was it like? Did it ever explain like that they were undercover or something? Because like they're introduced as just hotel employees, but then they're like breaking out a bazooka and doing like martial arts and stuff like that. I don't know. I lost track of it.
Well, okay. I'm not going to act like I was paying the most attention to this movie.
You were flying 8 different flight sims watching this.
Let me just say this. The greatest moment of suspense I had during the runtime of this movie was when one of the gunshots sounded like a gun in Cyberpunk. So I paused my Cyberpunk game and I was like, wait, am I in combat? But yeah, so basically they were... I think the daughter like alerts South African Special Forces, which, while we're talking about the South African military, they have an amazingly cool short-range air-to-air missile that I love called the R-Darter, not to be confused with the A-Darter that is licensed-produced Israeli crap. The R-Darter, awesome. It can pull super high Gs. It has thrust vectoring. If I was in a dogfight, I would love to use the R-Darter. So I have no trouble believing that they would have guys who can dress up like a hotel guy and kill a bunch of guys. But they, and there are some scenes where people are killed in this movie that are like, okay. Like Anthony Starr when he fucking guts the Secret Service guy like a fish. That's pretty cool. The South African Spec Ops guys, when they blast a bunch of guys, it looks okay. But then they ruin it by having the daughter go, Are you from Wakanda?
Yeah.
And it's like, that movie came out when she was like 1.
And also,
2018 was 17 years ago.
I did write down Wakanda mentioned, and then the equivalent from the British Prime Minister is, of course, he mentioned Winston Churchill.
Yes.
That's British people's Wakanda.
All bases covered in this movie.
Yeah, really.
By the way, in case you were worried that the relationship with the UK Prime Minister would remain acrimonious throughout the whole thing, no, don't worry. There's no such thing as tension. There isn't even tension when main characters get shot. There isn't even the tension of characters disliking each other. Everyone gets a grudging respect for each other. Not even grudging. It's like they go to summer camp together.
Well, that's what the G20 is.
There's the secret. There's the good Secret Service agent who's her body man that she does Brazilian jiu-jitsu with. Yeah, and he's
terrible scene.
He's dedicated. He's dedicated to her. I was thinking in a better movie, they should be having an affair. She should be fucking him, and then maybe thinking of getting a divorce from Black Doug.
And then he would be willing to die for her.
Yeah,
that would be believable.
Yeah, they have to show that horrible Brazilian jiu-jitsu scene to explain why. Look, Viola Davis has amazing arm definition and arm size. I'm frankly jealous of her. I wish I had that kind of definition without doing things like sacrificing bread. But it strains credulity that a 62-year-old woman, no matter how big her arms are, could do enough once a month jujitsu classes
for 15 minutes.
For 15 minutes
on the White House
that she
lawn.
could beat this shit out of an evil spec ops guy.
Yeah,
because she basically does.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I've said that a trained woman who's a decent athlete can beat the shit out of a normal
trained
guy.
woman.
Yeah,
yeah. But if one person trains once a month for 15 minutes at a time, and the other guy has killed 1 billion people, and he's Anthony Starr. I saw him slice a guy's dick off. No way. Fuck off.
Once again, I don't really have anything left about G20 other than just an absolutely wasted opportunity, because I think, by my count, only 2 world leaders were executed in this movie, and it was very bloodless.
The South Korean Prime
Minister and the PM of Australia.
Yeah,
that's it.
That was the one line in this movie that made me smile a little, and this was more because of Anthony Starr than anything, was when he's explaining his whole boring plot that's the same in all these movies. And the South Korean Prime Minister is oh, so you'll do it through back routers, so it won't be traceable or whatever. And Anthony Starr goes, a tech-savvy South Korean, who would have thought?
Oh yeah, they have to make him. They have to make him say racist stuff just so you know that he's a bad guy.
Yeah, but it was just oh my God, some characterization. A line that doesn't make me want to kill myself. Thank God.
Well, run, don't walk.
Yeah. Generally, one of the worst and most incompetent films that we've featured. I feel like
they're not trying.
Over the course of the show, I would kill to have a movie as good as London Has Fallen come out again.
Holy shit! Yeah, this makes Venom look like the director's cut of Heaven's Gate.
Yeah,
fuck. You know what's so awful about this is, even compared to Zero Day, it's not even it's incompetent and shitty, but there's nothing. None of the things that make incompetent movies interesting and funny are really there. The Reliant, I always use as our golden standard of movies that we've done episodes about that are purely incompetent. And there is that amazing, easy to ascertain gap between the filmmaker's ambitions and their abilities. That's a perfect example of that type of thing. Something that is horribly shitty, but in a way that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's so weird, and you can tell what a disaster it probably was while they were making it, because there's all this incongruous shit, someone dying of an awful infection, and then some girl who's probably a star on Christian YouTube singing a song uninterrupted for 4 minutes. It's interesting, and it has markers.
Yeah, that's a human. Bizarre. That's a human touch.
Exactly. With this, there's zero humanity, even though it has these incredibly tangible flaws. It's sort of an accomplishment to make something this shitty, but it's not even interesting. I'm not seeing the gap between the filmmaker's ambitions and abilities. I'm seeing the gap between the LLM that did everything here. And
Yeah.
What abilities aren't in this current iteration.
I mean, like, fucking, like, some fucking AI created, like, all of the exterior shots of the hotel. Like I said, like, look, once again, shout out to Jake who was watching this movie, said all of the CGI graphics of what the hotel looked like the island from Myst, the computer game that came out in 1993, I think.
That's a very good comparison.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think that's it for G20. I think that's it for today's episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks again to Catherine for coming back. Thanks for subbing in this week.
My pleasure.
Yeah, that's it. Reminder again that EFIS for all the both neurotypical and neuroatypical baseball fans out there.
When you're done being unable to shit, be sure to watch EFIS.
Yeah,
I mean, perfect. You won't have to get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, EFIS available to stream and rent everywhere now. So check that out. All right, everybody. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.